Hey guys, it's Sarah. So today we're going to talk about investing in land. Now, as I promised, this is a short mini series. We're going to cover zoning, financing, utilities, specifically water, power, and septic, plus a few other things that I would like to add in my experience that I wish I knew prior. So today's discussion alone, this is going to be the most boring video out of the series just because it is in front of a computer. But I try to put nice photos, So today's discussion is zoning and financing solely. So everything else will be in the next video. So zoning, initial search. When searching for a property, it's important to understand zoning of the land you're considering. So if you want to build a house on it in the future, you want to make sure it's zoned to allow residential use, okay? As an example, I'm going to use my property specifically as an example. They're all different, okay? So I'm zoned RA40. That's residential, agricultural, 40-acre minimum. That's what that 40 means. So very low density, residential with agricultural use. Minimum parcel size is 40 acres. This is important for those of you who want to buy large acre properties and you are thinking you want to subdivide them later into smaller parcels and maybe do a little bit of development utilities and then sell them off for a higher price point. This is going to tell you if that's allowed. So minimum parcel size on mine is 40 acres. So it can't be subdivided below that unless rezoned or revarianced. So if that's something you plan to do in the future, you want to subdivide, you have to make sure it's zoned for that. So be extra cautious knowing your future plans. Permitted uses often include single family home with an ADU, maybe junior ADU. Ag purposes, so grazing, orchards, vineyards, animal keeping. You can run some cattle, horses, goats, barns, workshops, ag buildings. Utilities often require well and septic, not on city services. That's what you got to know too. Usually when going into this, unless you're buying small parcels in like more developed areas, if you're buying a bit more on the rural side, then you're likely going to have to do a well and septic. And you might not even be tied into the electric grid. You might have to tie in later or do some kind of off-grid option, which I'm personally doing, so I'll talk about that. Zoning goal for RA40 would be preserve open space, ranch land, and farming while allowing one or more homes. So they're trying to preserve the integrity of the kind of rural thing that you're doing, right? Like you're kind of buying in a rural area. R40 would mean we kind of want to keep it like this. We don't want super high density in these areas, so just be extra cautious. Your agent will help you with that too. Always remember, in California, residential zoning can vary by city or county, so it's always a good idea to call your local planning department. Guys, it takes a few minutes and it can save you a headache in the future. So know your plans first, okay? Food for thought, financing. Acreage can be challenging, especially if there's no house in the property. Why? No collateral value. This is an example. So why traditional lenders avoid large acre bare land loans. When I was shopping around, I found a lot of lenders that would do 5 and under acre. They would finance 5 and under. It's less risk for them, but anything above that, they're like, no way, we won't touch it. So the reason is no structure equals no collateral value. Lenders want a tangible asset they can resell if you default on the property. So if you walk away from that property and now they have to resell it, they're looking at like, what are the risks, right? So potential risks are utilities might not be present, no well, no septic, no power, more risk for them. Rural means low buyer pool or lower buyer pool. We're seeing that shift just a tad. Fewer comps, lower resale value, longer time to sell, less attractive for, worst case scenario of foreclosure. Large acreage equals ag risk. Large acre properties may indicate agricultural use, and if you're not an established farmer, they assume you may fail or abandon it. So that's just an example. So certain workarounds people can use. Seller financing, which is also called seller carry when possible, but that's not always an option. But if it is, sometimes you'll see in the MLS, your agent will tell you, seller financing available. That means the seller's willing to carry the note for you for a certain amount of time until, years down the line or whatever the contract states. The balloon payment is due, you pay them back, and then you refi into a traditional loan. Or a HELOC, home equity line of credit, or a cash out refi on another property. Or you could just buy it cash and finance the build via a construction loan. A lot of people do that, but let's be real, guys, not a lot of people have a few $100,000 in the bank to buy property outright like that. And that was the issue I was finding, because I needed to find a lender. I didn't want to spend all my cash on just the land and I have nothing left. You know what I mean? Like, that's the majority of people are going to be in that arena. So my personal experience, ag lenders, it took me a while to get this or to even find a lender that would do it. But after a lot of searching, I found a lender who specializes in these types of loans and made it surprisingly easy once I was in the process. What makes certain ag lenders different? Underwriting and their model, okay? So underwriting, they underwrite based on land value, ag productivity, and sometimes your long-term plans. Like, they might ask you, what are you planning on doing? Is it, legit farming, legit ranching, or just a hobby farm? Sometimes it doesn't really matter to them. You kind of just have to, I don't know, just tell them what your plans are or see if it fits. Most of the time it will. That was my experience. And then the model, they're okay with raw land because their whole model is built around farming, ranching, and rural development. So they know what they're doing in this, okay? They underwrite their loans based on these things, right? Based on this criteria. If you want the contact to the lender I use, hit me up and I will send it to you. I actually sent it to another agent friend of mine who is also buying a large acre parcel, and it worked just fine for him. He was able to finance it, no problem. So coming up next, I will take you out to my property. Again, hopefully will be the most boring video. And my next video is going to be, we're going to dive into first essential utility, which is water. So specifically well water. I'll cover how to find it and how to get it. So I'll take you out to my property and show you my well and show you how I was able to find it. All right. Thanks for watching.